Every week, I get at least one email from somebody asking me questions about SEO. Usually they're saying things like, it seems like my SEO is broken. Can you fix my website? Or my other favorite, which is, can you just look at the website and tell me if my SEO needs to be fixed? SEO doesn't work like that. The truth is, SEO isn't complicated. It's not black magic or voodoo or witchcraft, even though we kind of make it out to be. Like most things in life, SEO is mostly elbow grease. But it's also much more straightforward than you probably think. SEO isn't about optimizing your website so Google can see it and rank you. Google already knows your website exists and is already ranking you. Look, SEO is a huge field. This video isn't going to cover all of it, but I do want to cover 3 basic things that you probably don't know about that might give you a better understanding of how SEO works. Tip number 1, SEO is all about content. And by content, I don't mean pictures. I mean the writing. The copy. If the words that you want people to find you for aren't on your website, nobody's going to be able to find you for those words. Clear as mud, right? Look, let's use me as an example. I'm a web designer and web developer. If the main headline on my homepage was a web designer who makes artisanal websites, then somebody who wants to find me on Google is going to have to type web designer who makes artisanal website in order to find me. If I want people to find me for web designer in Hamilton, I need to change my homepage so it says a web designer who cares in Hamilton. And then that's going to increase the chances of me showing up for that search term. See how the words are related? Without the word Hamilton, there's no way to find me for Hamilton. Of course, there's a bit more to it than that. If I filled up my entire website with pages that are all related to website design and development, and I wrote really good copy for them, that's great. But then let's say I add another page about cheese and how much I love cheese. Google isn't suddenly going to rank me for my page about cheese because it likes the content that has to do with web design and web development. Google's going to say, hang on, this person is writing about a topic they don't seem to know a whole lot about, so if somebody is going to Google for cheese, they're not going to get me. Because Google's going to say, this is a person who only has one page about cheese, and meanwhile, there are websites that are dedicated exclusively to cheese, and let's deliver those results instead. Now, if I wrote this up and I put it on my blog, then maybe if you Googled web design and cheese, it would show up because it's right there in the copy, and I'm not too sure how many other web designers are talking about cheese, and especially not as often as I'm talking about cheese right now. Maybe I'm hungry. Your whole website needs to support one thesis, right? One main argument. You're lifting up the whole thing. All of the pages in your website and all of the blog posts and everything need to continue proving that you are an expert in a certain field. That comes down to the copy. So let's say you go out and you hire a good SEO specialist. Well, that good SEO specialist is probably focused on copy. They're looking at the existing ways that people are finding you on Google. They're looking at the keywords that people are using, for example, and they're going to see if those match up with the keywords you want people to be using. Let's say that somebody is Googling cheese and finding me. I probably don't want that. That would be bad. I probably need to get rid of the content that's related to cheese on my website. But if people are Googling for web designer and they're not finding me, that's also bad. How can I make that better? What kind of copy can I write? What kind of new pages and new content structures can I create to make people's hunt for a web designer a little bit easier? So if you feel like your website isn't optimized for SEO, start with the copy. And if you don't know where to start with copy, the easiest way to start is to ask your customers how they found you. Ask them what they were Googling for when they found you. Ask them what they're interested in. Try and figure out who those customers are, what their pain points are, and then write pages and write copy that specifically addresses those pain points. Try and directly speak to your customer in a way that answers the questions that they will inevitably be Googling. That's how you do good web copy. At the end of the day, though, it's not just a one and done thing. You're going to need to kind of keep it up to date, experiment, see what works, see what doesn't work. It's not that Google is changing anything. It's that people change and their tastes change and their needs change. Ford isn't making the same car they were making in the 1920s. People are looking for different things. So you're going to need to adapt a little bit and experiment and be willing to make some changes and change some things up. But that's the first step. Get good at writing copy. And the second thing that you need to know about SEO is that SEO is a lot about backlinks. What's a backlink? Well, backlinks are links from other people's websites to your website. Like, for example, your local chamber of commerce. If you're listed on their website, that builds up your reputation. Think of it like a community. Like, you get together, you meet new people, but they don't really know you. And the more that they get to know you and the more they hear good things from other people who've interacted with you, the more trusted you're going to be in that community. It's kind of the same deal. Backlinks are the reason that big companies like Apple or news organizations like the New York Times always rank so highly in search. It's because other people are talking about them and linking to them. So their reputation gets built up, and then Google features them prominently. That's why this is a long game strategy and not something you can just fix overnight. But that does pose the question, how do you get backlinks? How can you replicate this yourself? Well, this is the reason that people tell you to guest on podcasts or to write guest blog posts on somebody else's website to show up elsewhere and have people link to you. It's precisely so the backlinks can be built up. Finally, and this is super important, quality is more important than quantity. Don't put your website up on some junky link list site. Google knows all the tricks, but a link from your local chamber of commerce or a business partner of yours or a trade association, those are great. It's worth noting that some of my clients will go hire PR firms to do this for them because it can become a full-time job. But even if you do it part-time, backlinks are like a very key part of this mix that a lot of my clients are often missing. Once you get this can be the key between dominating Google search and not being present at all. So this is almost as important as your copy. You can have good copy, but if nobody is out there publicly demonstrating trust in you, nobody is going to know about it. Okay, and the third tip, clean code. Now this is less important than it used to be, but it's still really helpful for Google. Good semantic code makes a difference. This is why people hire professional web developers. You're looking for clear hierarchies, easy to parse HTML markup, and fast and mobile-friendly websites. So here's a simple example. If you've ever edited a blog post before, you might have noticed that you can format it. So you can say that certain blocks of text are heading 1, heading 2, or heading 3. But you might not know that the order that you use those in matters. So for example, it's a lot easier for Google and other bots to scrape your text and to read it and to parse it and to understand it if it follows a predictable order. And the order they're looking for is one where it looks sort of like a book. Like the title of the book or the title of your page is your heading 1, right? And then you wouldn't use that again on the page because you're not writing a new book. So then every section has a heading 2. In a book, those would be like the chapters. And then every subsection of the chapter isn't going to have the same big heading as a chapter. That would be kind of confusing. So that's a heading 3. So the heading 3 is like the subheading within the chapter of a book. You would probably not ever write a book that says name of book, subheading, chapter title. Similarly, on a website, you would never say heading 1, heading 3, heading 2. What you want to do is you want to say heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 2, heading 3, heading 2, heading 3. And then a heading 4 should only ever go below a heading 3. And a heading 5 should only ever go below a heading 4. And if you've written a heading 4 for some reason below a heading 3, you can always jump right back up to heading 2. You don't need to work up backwards like a pyramid. Just like a book, you could have like a subsection to your subsection and then go right to the next chapter. Hopefully that makes sense. This concept is kind of weird and difficult to explain, but it's a really great example of the sort of thing that a programmer would know that a normal person like you does not necessarily know. And there are lots of little tricks like this that programmers do know. But at the end of the day, this isn't the thing that matters the most to SEO. Clean code matters, but it's not going to do a thing for you if your copy isn't good and if you don't have any backlinks. Google can still figure out your website even if your heading structure is kind of wonky. It's not a make or break thing. If your content isn't right, if people don't find you naturally when they Google what they're looking for, if you don't have the right keywords in place, and when I say keywords, I literally mean if you're not answering people's questions when they're looking things up, looking for you, people won't be able to find you even if you have the world's cleanest code. So if you want to rebuild a website for better SEO, you need to think about your content first. And that means you need to figure out who your customer is. And if you don't know who your ideal customer or customers are, if you don't have a persona for them, that's when it's a great time to hire a studio or somebody like me to come and take a look at it. We'll go like all the way back to basics in the process. We'll start figuring out who that person is, and then we're going to start organizing all the content and tailoring it for that specific individual. That's really what a web design project is about. But in the meantime, if you're just trying to make your SEO better, start with a copy and see how far that gets you. And that's it. 3 simple tips that should get you way further ahead with your SEO. If you need any help or you have any further questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll see if I can help you out. But in the meantime, and until the next one, rock on.